Hey, would you like to coger el autobús with me? We could also coger a Sabrina with us to the movie theater, and after that we could all gather at my place and respectfully coger each other.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the new section of the channel, where we're gonna discuss how to use bad words in Spanish correctly. I used to include this section at the end of my grammar videos, but I realized it was making them too long, and we don't want to do that. Here's the video that explains why we're doing it in the first place. As you might have guessed, today's word is gonna be coger. So thank you for joining. Let's begin. If you've been learning Spanish for longer than a month, you probably know that coger is a tricky word, and depending on where you learned Spanish, you might have been told to be very careful, or maybe even to avoid using it. So let's see what's up. Coger is a verb that by default means to take or to grab. Now, the tricky part is that it's also a vulgar way of saying to have sex, also known as to fuck. I guess in this case it technically still means to take, but in a sexual way. Similarly how in English the phrase to hook up originally meant only to connect something, and now has the new meaning, which is also to have sex. Now you know why some apps or teachers might avoid using the word coger. I am neither of those things, so I won't disrespect you like that. Here's what you need to know. If you live in Europe, you're probably gonna learn European Spanish, that is the Spanish from Spain. In Spain, the verb coger only means to take, without any sexual connotation, similarly how we use tomar or agarrar. However, in most countries in Latin America, coger means to have sex. There are some exceptions. For example, I know that in some regions of Colombia, you can still use coger similarly to how we use it in Spain. But I wouldn't worry about it now unless you're planning to move to one of those regions. Another aspect of this has to do with the different generations. For example, I have friends in Mexico who told me that their grandparents may sometimes use the word coger when they want to say to take, just like in Spain. But since my friends belong to a younger generation, for them the word coger has always meant to have sex. So hearing it from their grandparents creates some funny situations, as you can imagine. For now, we're gonna focus on having a clear separation between the European and Latin American Spanish. So let me give you an example. In Europe, when you say voy a coger el autobús, it means you just want to ride a bus. Nothing sexual is implied. However, when you say the similar phrase in Latin America, voy a coger el autobús, people might raise their eyebrows in surprise or simply burst out laughing. They will hopefully understand that you are either European or simply a one kinky individual. In Latin America, your life will be much simpler if you use tomar or agarrar, if you don't want to be misunderstood. Now let's talk about the verbs recoger and escoger. After everything we've discussed so far, you might be wondering if these two verbs could be as tricky as coger. But lucky to us, they're not. Even though the verbs recoger and escoger are etymologically related to coger, they did not evolve in the same way, so it's absolutely fine to use them wherever you are in the world. So when I say voy a coger a Sabrina, that may or may not be sexual depending on where you are in the world. But when you say voy a recoger a Sabrina, it only implies the act of picking Sabrina up, for example, in a car. Or maybe voy a escoger un regalo para Sabrina. And just like that, you're back to being a gentleman. Sabrina will have to wait until the marriage. Stay strong. Lastly, when I say the verb coger is vulgar, I mean that it's only vulgar or offensive to people who don't know you. It's perfectly normal to use coger with your loved one as long as he or she is okay with that. As always, use this word sparingly and only with your friends, loved ones and enemies, as long as everyone is on the same page. Recap time. The verb coger means to take if you live in Spain, and it means to have sex or to fuck if you are in Latin America, similarly to how we use the phrase hook up. There are two verbs that look almost like coger, but they do not share the sexy aspect of it. Recoger means to pick up, and escoger means to pick or to choose. None of them imply anything sexual, so you can use them anywhere. Damn, that was a good recap. And just like that, we're done. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about this new format. Let me know if you have any questions or video suggestions. And that's it. See ya.